Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa afdalu salati wa atammu taslimi ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Allahumma la sahla illa ma ja'altahu sahla wa anta ya hayyu ya qayyum taj'alul hazna idha shi'ta sahlan sahla. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to our weekly series on community conversations. Inshallah, tonight we have another esteemed scholar from the Dallas-Fort Worth area who's going to be joining us, and we're going to have a conversation about just getting to know the Shaykh, and also talk about a few ongoing current events, inshallah ta'ala. So for those of you who have not attended our programs in the past, this is a program that we're doing every Saturday night. We air it at 9:15 p.m. We go for about an hour. And every week I try to bring a different sheikh from DFW. So we've had Imam Yasir Rajaz and Imam Abdul Rahman Bashir in the past couple of episodes. And today we have with us, alhamdulillah, my dear friend and one of the esteemed shuyukh of the area, Imam Mohamed al-Gebaly. So I'm going to bring him on and unmute him. Shaykh, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ahlan wa sahlan, Shaykh Arsalan.
Ahlan bikum, Shaykh. How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, barakallahu feekum. As long as we are with the good people, alhamdulillah, we are happy, alhamdulillah.
I am very happy to have you with us, Shaykh. Thank you so much for your time. Jazakallahu khairan for being with us. For our viewers who may not be familiar with Imam Gebaly, inshallah, we're going to get to know him more today. But just very briefly, Imam Gebaly currently is serving the Salahuddin Masjid as the Imam of Salahuddin Masjid, which is, again, we're going to learn more about it from Imam Gebaly today, but it is a masjid in the Plano area, right near the intersection of Highway 75 and Spring Creek. So, Sheikh, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in Dallas, and about a little bit about your family, and also a little bit about the community, the Salahuddin Masjid.
Okay, inshallah, bismillah. But I want to make sure that, inshallah, we have a time limit, inshallah, that I will not be there till midnight. Because once you give the mic to the Sheikh and you tell him to talk, I think something should stop him.
No,
I think you should be the moderator.
We're gonna have a conversation. We're gonna end around 10:15, inshallah.
Inshallah. So I want to make sure that I'm not gonna exceed the time. So I'm your brother Mohamed al-Gebaly. I'm originally from Egypt. I'm a graduate of the same university that Imam Arsalan graduated from it. Alhamdulillah, I'm from the kindergarten, alhamdulillah, in the Azhari style of learning. So I graduated from the elementary school, then the middle school, then the high school, then I joined university, Islamic studies in English. So that's why I'm not a native speaker. That's why you see that I have an accent, a rusty English. But I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sheikh, you are one of the best English speaking Azhari shuyukh I have ever met.
Jazakallah khairan, Jazakallah khairan. They always say that the blind man, in the kingdom the one with one eye, among the blind ones is a king. Alhamdulillah.
This saying we also have in Urdu, by the way, Andho mein kana raja, and we have it in English, and I guess we have it in Arabic also.
I'm sure that the Egyptians are the one who invented this. Alhamdulillah. And I graduated in 1996. And after that, I worked in different careers and jobs. And then, alhamdulillah, I was appointed in 2001 as an imam in the Ministry of Al-Awqaf in Egypt, the one that is responsible for appointing and taking care of the masajid and the imams. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me, and it's not from me, that they chose me because they found out that some people speak English. So they chose me to be the first imam sent to the United States as a resident imam from 2002 to 2005. My scholarship, and I went to Blacksburg, Virginia, a small town. The only thing about it that's famous with the Virginia Tech School. I spent there 3 years, and after that, I went to
Sheikh, that was from
2002 to 2005 as
so
the
right
first.
After September 11th.
After I became the first resident imam that they sent. They started after me to send other imams, and after that, I went back to Egypt. I had a leave from Al-Awqaf, and I joined Dar es-Salam Al-Huda School in College Park in Maryland. I worked there for 2 years, and then I went to ICN. It's also a masjid. I worked there as a lead Quran teacher there for 1 year, and then I went back to Egypt and I worked in Mishka, and then I got back to San Diego in 2010, and I spent there 7 years. And then I came in 2017 to Mikini Masjid. I spent 2 years. And the last year, 2019, before Ramadan, I joined Salahuddin. And from that time, alhamdulillah, with Masjid Salahuddin, as you said, a small musalla, but alhamdulillah, now we are working hard to start the construction in our 2 acres land behind Sam's Club in the same area, in a very strategic place. Alhamdulillah, we, alhamdulillah, preparing for a big project that I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm married to an Egyptian sister. Samia Atallah is my wife, and I have 4 kids. Suhaila, the eldest, and then Suhaib, the Qari of the Quran, who imitates Al-Minshawi, and I think many people know him, and then Owais, and then Sarah. This is briefly about me and the jobs that, alhamdulillah, I occupied.
How old is your oldest, Sheikh?
Suhaila is 15 years, and Suhaila was born in the same day that I was born. So, subhanAllah, February 1st.
So that means Suhaila must have been born in Egypt.
No, she was born here. She was born here.
She was born in...
Yes. So I came here single for the first year in 2002, and then I got back, and you cannot believe it. In 2 weeks, I got married to my wife, and then, I got back. I tried to get married, in close to Albany, to a sister there, but subhanAllah, it didn't work out. I says, no, I cannot get married except to an Egyptian sister from the same environment that I grew up, because the clash of civilization is not going to work out. Alhamdulillah, I decided, and alhamdulillah, Allah made it successful and easy for me. In 2 weeks, I got married, then I came here, and then after couple of months, my wife came here, and we, alhamdulillah, started our life here. And before the end of my scholarship, Allah granted me Suhaila 3 months before the end of 2005. And then, alhamdulillah, all my kids, alhamdulillah.
So all your kids were born in the United States?
But in different cities.
In different cities.
States and cities. Yes.
So you have, alhamdulillah, a lot of experience
I was born in Virginia,
kids in the United States.
Yes, alhamdulillah. I lived with different communities. Subhanallah, I saw the extremes from a small town in Virginia to the capital, to Washington, D.C., and Northern Virginia and Maryland. And then to a middle and middle city, San Diego. I spent there 7 years. And then also to Dallas area and McKinney and Plano. Alhamdulillah, I visit different areas. Alhamdulillah, I visit a lot of masajid. Alhamdulillah.
So Sheikh, you were saying that you went through the Azhar education system, and I think a lot of people don't realize that Al-Azhar is not just a university, but it is something that starts as early as kindergarten, and you started in kindergarten, went through middle school and high school and all the way through college.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I think, also don't realize that Al-Azhar is a massive educational institution that has many branches all throughout Egypt, and actually affiliates outside of Egypt as well. And so Sheikh, are you from Cairo? Are you from Alexandria? Which part of Egypt are you from?
Originally, I'm from Upper Egypt, from Alminia. Alminia, they call it the bride of Upper Egypt. It's in the beginning of Upper Egypt. So in the family, we had like 20 kids. So my grandfather, Jazahullah Khan, he's the one who started Al-Azhar in our area, in our village. So subhanallah, he loved me a lot, and he sent all the family kids to Al-Azhar. All the kids, when they saw a lot of Quran in the early ages, all of them didn't like, and they couldn't, tolerate this, because in the other school, they don't have that much Quran that they have to memorize. So all the kids of the family, they didn't like to continue. So I'm the only one who was kept in this school, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed me, and it was a great blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because by that time, the old style of Al-Azhar, the old style of education, that by the end of the middle school, you have to finish the whole Quran. So imagine in the other public system, you do not memorize at all anything. But in Al-Azhar, we have to study. We have to have more periods and more time that you spend in memorizing Quran.
So
and
does
when
that
you go
mean
to the middle school,
you finish your memorization of the Quran by the end of middle school?
but by the end of the middle school.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, and then after that, they give you a big dose of education. This was the old system; it's not there anymore. They give you a very condensed dose of fiqh and of aqidah and of tafsir. Tafsir, we used to study one juz of tafsir every year in the high school. Add to this, the balagha, the nahw and sarf, the Arabic linguistic in this deep format, Sharh ibn Aqil. So things that are so now, unfortunately, they don't have this.
But
and
when you were going through the system, they still had this old curriculum in place.
This was in the past, but they allow only just in every state, just one school or even couple of the schools all over country, all over Egypt, that only has and keeps the system, but it's not there anymore. And the high school is not 3 like the other systems; it's 4. So they give us one juz of the Quran per year, just one juz of the Quran to memorize. But the condensed work is on fiqh, especially fiqh. And here we have, in Egypt, we have the specialization and the madhab that you follow from the middle school. So the middle school, they give us those. That is really big, but not like the high school.
So which madhab is taught in high school?
I don't know. In Upper Egypt, we had only to choose between one of the two, whether Hanafi or Maliki. They chose for me the Maliki school.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I see. And then, so this was all in Alminia, right?
This was in a village in Alminia.
In Alminia. So then after you finished high school, then you went on to university.
Yeah.
Where was
then,
that?
Alhamdulillah, it was in Cairo. And from that time, I stayed in Cairo. I worked there. And Alhamdulillah, I studied, and I started my life. 5 years, Islamic studies in English. It was a new school. We studied, Alhamdulillah. Also, we have to finish Quran in this school.
So this was the College of Islamic Studies
in English. It's a branch of al-Lughat wa Tarjama, languages and translation. But it's the only school because they call it, Shaykh Arsalan, as you know, in Egypt we have 2 sites. We have Ad-Darasa, which is for the Sharia schools, like
That's where I went.
Salahuddin, and we have the cultural one that they have it in Nasr City.
That's
So
right.
for us, we are like mixed between the two, because we are still a Shari school, and also we are a branch of languages and translation. So we studied German as a second language, and we started civilization, we started translation, different types of translation, we started novel, drama, we started a lot of things that are not related to the Islamic studies. And they made it 5 years, one preliminary year, and then 4 other years, which was something that was not, for the other schools.
So
Alhamdulillah, it was
did you know English in Al-Minya, or did you start
yeah,
learning English
we
after
studied.
moving to Cairo?
No, we studied English as they teach it in the schools that short those. And unfortunately, many of the Azhari people, they don't like English. They don't like even to study it, so they don't care for it that much. People only pass from it. But for me, my dad was caring for me a lot. There was a teacher in Egypt, was a Christian teacher. My dad used to send me there. Alhamdulillah, I studied with him a lot. And Alhamdulillah, I love this. It was my dream. And subhanAllah, from the high school, my dream, and I didn't know how would it work. I said, Ya Rab, I want to use the language to, to travel overseas and not to work in any field except the field of da'wah. For me, I didn't imagine that I would be an imam. This never came to my mind. And when I applied for al-awqaf to work as an imam in Egypt, it was not there, because imam in Egypt means that you are just appointed as an imam in one of the masajid. And this is what happened. And imagine, Shaykh Arsalan, after 4 months of just receiving my job, my supervisor said to me, "It seems that you did something wrong." I says, "I didn't do anything wrong." He says, "No, because the minister wants to meet you." So we were like 6 people from this department, from this school. And the minister of al-Awqaf, he heard that some of the students and some of the people who are in al-Awqaf, they speak English. So he gathered the 6 of us, and we went through verbal tests and written tests. And then, they said, "You are qualified to travel abroad." And subhanAllah, the first choice for me was to go to Germany. And subhanallah, and then they changed it to the United States. Subhanallah, because we studied English as a second language. Subhanallah, the choice in the beginning was to go to German, but alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved me, and I came to the United States.
So Sheikh, you also said that at some point you also went to Mishka.
Yes, yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about Mishka? Where was that, and what did you do there?
So I worked with Mishka in 2 different careers and 2 different jobs. So first, I taught family law from 2005 to 2008 as an English instructor in English for the family law. And in 2008, when I came back to the United States, and I was in Egypt for 2 years or 1.5 years, I was responsible for the student support. This was like in the beginning of like Mishka. And also it didn't have the name of Mishka. Actually, there were 2 universities, one in Arabic and one in English. So I was responsible I worked like 1.5 years as a student support to choose the teachers and to help the teachers and to help the students. So I worked at that time in 2000, from 2008 till 2010. So it was 2 schools, not one school. And then after I left, alhamdulillah, I started to have branches, more students, and started to be one school, which is Mishka now.
So
But
at that
before
time,
it was
it was
2 branches.
Sharia Academy, right?
It was Sharia Academy or الجامعة الدولية بأمريكا اللاتينية.
I see.
Sharia Academy or الجامعة الدولية بأمريكا اللاتينية. And some people say, the International University of Latin America. Some people would say, why Latin America? Because they get the recognition and the accreditation from Panama in South America. So that's why they called it after that South America.
And so you said that you taught there for about 6 years. You taught family law.
Family for 3 years, from
For 3 years.
2005 to 2008.
So any reason why you chose that subject?
Wallah, it
You
was
had
the
just
choice
gotten
of
married?
Salah al-Sawi. He chose this for me,
I
and
was going to
wallahi,
say you had
alhamdulillah, it
just
was a
gotten
good
married,
choice.
probably that's why.
No, subhanallah. Because I know I was here in the United States, and you know the imams in the United States, they face a lot of family issues. So he wanted someone who's like practically, dealing with these issues. Alhamdulillah, it was alhamdulillah, a good choice for me because alhamdulillah, for example, in fiqh of worship, fiqh al-hudud, punishments, the transactions, the fiqh of transactions. Alhamdulillah, we have scholars in this field. But in the family law, subhanallah, it's not, or at that time, it was not that covered, or they didn't have like a brand name to cover that. But alhamdulillah, I was, alhamdulillah, responsible for it for 3 years. And I had a lot of work through like courses. I taught many courses, alhamdulillah, for many students. And it was a very successful experience that, alhamdulillah, I went through.
Alhamdulillah. Now, Sheikh, I know that you are currently serving as the Imam of Salahuddin Masjid. I think a lot of our viewers are not really familiar with the community there. Can you tell us a little bit about the demographics of that community?
Subhanallah, Salahuddin Masjid, I worked with different masajid, alhamdulillah, different communities. But the Kurdish community is a different community. So the founders of this masjid are Kurdish, Brother Adil and some of the brothers who worked hard, Jazahumullah khairan.
And once again, for those who may be joining late, Masjid Salahuddin is located in Plano, near the intersection of 75 and Spring Creek. There's a small musalla there, actually right at the intersection of K Avenue and Spring Creek, right?
Yes.
And there's a small musalla there, and like Sheikh said earlier, that they are currently pursuing a project of building a proper masjid, a big masjid, not too far from the current location.
It's across the street, yeah, Shaykh Arsalan. It's behind
sorry?
Sam's Club, so it's very close.
Behind
A
Sam's
walking
Club,
distance,
that's right.
yes. And it's closer to the to the highway. So it's very
Right.
close to the highway, 75.
So you're saying it's a Kurdish community?
Yeah, the founders are Kurdish community. In the big gathering, there is a large number of Kurdish community, but the people who are running the construction now, the people who are attending the masjid, mostly they are from different nations. So now it's a diverse community. So alhamdulillah, we have the Pakistani, we have the Arabs, we have the Indians, we have the Americans. So alhamdulillah, yes, the founders are Kurdish, but the masjid itself, alhamdulillah, is a diverse community. We have diversity, alhamdulillah. The people who attend the salawat, they are from the neighbors, alhamdulillah, and some of them are Egyptians, some of them are Palestinians, some of them are Jordanians. So we have a large number of people, and the people who are having the lead now for the construction, they are all not Kurdish, but the founders are Kurdish people, and I love the Kurdish community because those people, subhanallah, they do not understand me, and I do not understand them. They don't understand Arabic, and they don't understand English, but subhanallah, you can communicate with them. Don't tell me how. There is like a type of easiness in the way that you deal with them. They are very generous community. The Eid that I spent this year, the last year with them, I spent 2 Eid with them. Wallahi, ya Shaykh Arsalan, one of the best Eids. You feel that it's a large family, and they are welcoming everyone who's not Kurdish, which is something that we miss, the hospitality, and just to feel that you are in a masjid with your brothers and you feel that you are enjoying the time. Even my daughter, she says, Daddy, this is one of the best Eid. They are welcoming me as like I'm one of them. I'm one of their daughters. They are trying to see whether they are all serving me after the Eid. So alhamdulillah, it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be with a kind community like the Kurdish community. But again, alhamdulillah, the people who attend are from
How
different.
big is the Kurdish
Wallahi, ya
community?
Shaykh Arsalan, I didn't imagine till the time of Eid. The time of Eid, there are some statistics that they are around in the DFW area around 4,000 families. 4,000 families, which means they exceed 10,000.
But this is all in all of DFW.
DFW. And the biggest gathering is in Arlington and also Plano. We have
so
a
do
large
they
number
also have a musalla or a masjid in Arlington, or this is
they are in the process of buying a building, but they are a large number there. But in Plano area, there is a large number of them in Eid.
So
we have a large number of them.
How come, Sheikh, since there is such a large number of Kurdish people here in Plano, living in Plano, how come we don't really see them in the Plano Masjid or the McKinney Masjid or any of the other
They are.
masjids?
Now, don't forget, brother Imam Arsalan, that the Kurdish communities, they are not only from one country. They are not only from one country. You have them from Syria, and you have them from Turkish, which is the largest number, and we have them, from Iraq, and we have them from Iran. So they are from different countries, and they go to all the masajid, and they are like other communities. Some people you do not see them a lot. Because a large number of them, they are from the refugees, and the refugees sometimes they do not come to the masjid a lot. But they are there, and whenever you go to anywhere, you see them. But now I had the experience to recognize their faces. They are one of the best communities that, alhamdulillah, that I met, alhamdulillah. And imagine in Masjid Salahuddin, this is a small masjid, a small musalla. Can you imagine we have around 80 or even more students, 99 or 98% of them, they are from the Kurdish community.
When you say 80 students, you're talking about in the Quran?
About the Sunday school, Sunday school. Yeah, so, or they are even more than this. So those are the families that bring their kids to this small musalla. Because we have the others who go to the other masajid, Epic and West Plano and Allen, but and INT. But the ones who come to our masjid, they are around 80 students or even more. This is from the Kurdish community. So they are large in numbers, but some of them, they do not come, they go to other masajid.
Now, how many people do you have in Jummah? Of course, right now the masjid is closed, right? It's completely closed. But when it was open, how many people come for Jummah?
Brothers and sisters, around from 150, 170, 140, around this number.
MashaAllah.
But in Eid, it goes much more than this.
And so now the new construction, has it begun?
Wallahi, we are in the process of choosing an architect, appointing an architect, and alhamdulillah, we found a good brother, a builder. Alhamdulillah, we found a builder, but choosing an architect is the hardest part. Getting the license.
You don't have the design yet?
No, not yet. But we hired some people, we talked. Yeah, we have the land, we have, alhamdulillah, the builder that, alhamdulillah, is Allah Khair, one of the best brothers who, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, to help. But the problem is you need to choose carefully because of one simple thing, that one mistake in the design can cost us a lot. And this what happened with many masajid. It's not like something, no, unfortunately, in different masajid, it happened that they appointed an architect. He made a mistake, and they had to pay a lot and to.
They lost a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yes, and our community is poor, so that's why we wouldn't like to do this. So we saw at least 5 architects, and the problem also, Shaykh Arsalan, that the architects, some of them, they ask for a very, very high prices, and they are costly. It's very common. This is how things work. So you need to choose the right person, and you need to pay money, but you need the person who does the work right. So this is our challenge now. We cannot afford to, someone to make it, and unfortunately, it happened. And we interviewed many architects, and unfortunately, at least 6 or 7 of them. And unfortunately, we had a black history about many of them. Alhamdulillah, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us, alhamdulillah, and grant us the good architect who can help, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give success to the project. I know you're working very hard and the community is working very hard. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you tawfiq and make you see the fruit of your work in this life and the hereafter.
Ameen, wallahi. To be without a masjid is really hard, Imam Arsalan. We are working hard and we are a challenging time. The license, we want to appoint a good architect, a trustworthy one who's not that costly. And then we need to get the license from the city, and it's not that easy. So we need also sincere people to be with us. We have a committee, alhamdulillah. As I told, alhamdulillah, they are working hard, 5 and 6 brothers. They are working so hard, but everything is in the hand of Allah, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that things go faster, because I thought that it's going to be like a matter of a couple of months and things will start. But wallahi, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort, a lot of headache, but it is fi sabilillah. So alhamdulillah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept and make it easy. Shaykh, I wanted to ask you something else now. We have about maybe 25 minutes left. One of the things that I think makes you really unique among all the imams of DFW is that you are part of a national organization known as AMJA.
Oh, I forgot this.
Yeah, no, I wasn't gonna let you forget. So
I
for
forgot.
those, I know a lot of our viewers are already familiar with AMJA, but just in case some people may not be familiar with it, AMJA, which stands for the Assembly of Muslim Jurists in America. It is a national organization of ulama, of shuyukh, of scholars, all of them residing here in the United States of America. And it has a structure. It has a structure of scholars who are part of the executive body and so on. And Imam Gebaly is part of this esteemed organization of scholars. The assembly does many things. One of the things that, and you can visit their website for more information. It's called, the website is amjaonline.org. One of the things that this organization does is every year they have a conference, have an annual conference where they invite all the imams and the scholars from the US, and they have a theme to the conference. They usually have a conference for the weekend, 3 days or so. And they have very relevant issues on which they have discussions. And then they come out with verdicts. They come out with fatwa at the end of the conference that are then shared with everybody. So it is a great resource for the scholars, the imams, the advanced students of knowledge in the United States. Another service that they provide is a fatwa bank that you can go to their website and look at questions that were answered by the scholars of AMJA. You can search for fatwa, and the fatwa again are given with an understanding that the audience is living in the West. So these are not fatwa coming from overseas. These are fatwa coming from scholars living here who understand the context and who are answering questions that come from you and I. So that's another service that they provide. And yet another service that they provide, which is an amazing service, is that they have a Fatwa Hotline. They have a phone number that you can call, I think 4 days a week. And there are certain times, and the information is on the website. And you can call these numbers, and a mufti will answer your phone. A qualified mufti will answer your phone, and he will answer your questions that you might have. And Imam Gebaly is part of the team of scholars who actually answer phone calls on the hotline. So Sheikh, can you tell us a little bit about AMJA to our viewers and your work with this organization?
Yeah, wallahi, it's as you said, Imam Arsalan, that this is one of the unique organizations. And alhamdulillah, the best thing about AMJA, that they do not involve themselves in politics. They are a fiqh council. So this is very important, that they are a fiqh council, because a specialization is really important. To just specify your goal, this is one of the best things that make you successful. Alhamdulillah, AMJA has this route, that we are a fiqh organization. We are talking and mainly discussing the contemporary issues. Because this is the problem, because we have, unfortunately, Imam Arsalan, we have the two extremes. We have the people who are saying that, and unfortunately, they belong to the imams. We have, and some people, they call them scholars, so-called scholars. Those people, they go to the extreme. They are just, seeing that everything is halal as long as we live in a non-Muslim country. And we have the people whom we have them everywhere, have this strict mentality that, okay, whatever is applicable in our countries should be applicable here. And Amjad talked around that, alhamdulillah, it's still preserving the values of the deen, the principles of the deen, but with a different look at the contemporary issue. And I always mention this when they blamed one of the followers of Imam Malik that he's taken a dog to guard himself. He said that if my Sheikh Imam Malik is alive, he will take a lion to guard him, not only a dog, because zaman is different, time is different. So now the people, and I will give you, alhamdulillah, all these conferences that you mentioned, Shaykh Arsalan, talking about the contemporary issues related to our youth, related to the converts, related to the masajid, related to the food that we eat, related to the medicine, related to the family issues. So all these things, they, concern every Muslim and every individual. And alhamdulillah, Allah bless me, I'm not a permanent scholar like the scholars who gather and give the verdict concerning the conference. I'm not, those are the permanent scholars.
That's called a permanent committee.
Yeah,
right?
permanent. The ones who meet after the conference, sometimes they meet in Nigeria, sometimes in Kuwait, sometimes in different parts of the world. And they give, sometimes in Turkey, they give a verdict about, certain issues. But I'm a Fatwa Hotline member. But alhamdulillah, the best thing about this, Imam Arsalan, that I receive a lot of fatwas. Today, I'm gonna, for example, tell you, I received like around 5 calls. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, they chose me for 3 days. So alhamdulillah, it's only 4 days or 5 days. 3 days.
3 out of 5 days.
Yeah, 3, alhamdulillah. So this is, alhamdulillah, big blessing.
So today you received 5 calls.
Yeah, I received 5 or 6 calls. Most of the calls, Imam Arsalan, about the issues of divorce.
Most of the questions are about divorce.
Yes, divorce. And about transactions. The new transactions that, people have nowadays about halal and haram. Yes, 3 calls or 2 calls are about family issues. Someone who's in difference with his father and mother. They are from overseas and they don't like him to get married to a sister that he likes to get married. Sheikh, can I get married to her, or I'm disobedient now? This is one call. Another brother, I got married to a sister and I found out that she's not right sister for me. So I broke off the engagement. So now I'm sinful, Sheikh, or not? Issues like this. What else? Wallahi, I forgot, because a lot of calls. Sometimes the phone doesn't stop, and we have 2 muftis. The way it works, that we have 2 muftis. So,
working in parallel.
Yeah, working. Yeah, and for the first hour on Saturday, the first hour is for me. I'm the main person, and then if another call comes, it goes to the other mufti. And the second mufti, I'm the standby. So the first call goes to the other mufti, and if there is another call, and there is, so I cannot. Sometimes it's a headache for me. I cannot use the bathroom. I cannot go anywhere, because sometimes if I pray, sometimes Shaykh Arsalan, I miss 3-4 calls. It happens sometimes. So that's why I need just to be ready to stand by, because people call. And the best thing about it, Imam Arsalan, that when people call, they call the fatwa line, but they open the line for me. I do not know the number of the people who are calling me. So there is privacy here. Yes. So I don't know the number. And I don't know his number, and he doesn't know my number.
Right.
And the worst thing is when people talk, like, for example, people talk sometimes when it comes to the family issues. People talk. They need someone to talk to, especially sisters. They want to talk for, and you can't because
Yeah.
you know, people, you know, there are other people on the call.
We
But
have
sometimes
limited
people
time.
don't. Yeah, this is the biggest challenge that we have. So sometimes I give my personal number to the people
Oh, oh,
and tell them call me after, because someone now is divorcing his wife. And believe it or not, Imam Arsalan, in the last month I received like 6 calls about divorcing the wife while the husband is angry. This is a very repeated question.
I guess people are sick and tired of quarantine.
Yes, I think, yeah, I
Oh,
think this is one of
they're
Imam.
losing it.
Till wallahi, somebody I don't know kept calling a sister. So I told her, I give you my number and please call me later because they know people are calling. You know, her
Uh,
father called me at 3 a.m. from Pakistan.
yeah, I've heard that there's a lot of
Yeah,
mental health
a
issues,
lot, yeah, a
a
lot
lot
of
of
issues.
family issues that
Yeah.
are happening because people are cooped up in the house, and
Yes. No, Allah, even without this, it's
even
still there,
without
Imam
it.
Salam, but it is increasing now. As you said, it's increasing. A sister who's like, you know, she doesn't believe me because she has waswas and talaq. Sheikh, no, I'm not her. So I said to her, he's your husband now. This divorce doesn't occur. I give you the fatwa. Now, Sheikh, you know, I have waswas. You know, you know this
I
and
have
this.
what, yeah?
Waswas,
Like whisperings.
whispering. So she doesn't, and husbands as well. I feel that I divorced my wife.
Mhm.
The biggest issues that we have are the family issues, Imam Arsalan, that we have it a lot, which reflects how many families, how many discords that we have in the families, how many problems that we have, how many people are away from the deen. So that's why these issues come up irregular basis
Mhm.
every day, almost every time I
Mhm.
receive calls like this. But Alhamdulillah, it's a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because in the family issues, you need to build a bridge with people, because sometimes people like to listen to an advice
Mhm.
more than a fatwa. So they need someone to listen. But unfortunately, our time is short. So we have a big challenge now. So the system will change now. Of fatwa will change. Now we are downloaded an app. Let me just tell you, this is something only,
This is
it's
something
something
new.
exclusive for Imam Arsalan. This is something that will start, inshallah, the next week, called Tells You, Telzio. This is a new style that will make us hold those people who talk for a lot of time.
I see.
So this is because people talk a lot, and unfortunately, you know, it's only 2 muftis. So that's
Well,
why,
you
yeah.
know, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for all the work that you're doing. I don't deal with as many people, but I know how many people have questions, have
Imam,
issues, and you
Imam
don't know
Arsalan,
how many people I have actually referred to the AMJA hotline
and
for fatwa.
many people called, and many
Yeah.
people don't know. Here is what happened, Imam Arsalan. It didn't happen only one time. People called me here in McKinney and in Salahuddin. And then they called me back on Amr. This happened
Mhm,
many times.
mhm, mhm.
Not only one time. It happened many times.
Well,
And
we are very, I want
one
to,
of the issues that we discussed together, Imam Arsalan, you
mhm,
know, they called me. Subhanallah, people
yeah.
trust Amja, which is a blessing from Allah.
No,
Subhanahu wa ta'ala.
I just want to tell our viewers how lucky and fortunate we are to have Imam Jubilee in our locality. I mean, there are people calling him from all over the country through this hotline, and we have the Sheikh right here in our midst. So I would highly encourage our community members to take advantage of Imam Jubilee's presence and benefit from him, inshallah ta'ala. Now,
That's a
Sheikh, we
blessing.
only
I
have
want to tell you,
10 minutes.
Imam Arsalan, something before you
Yeah.
hang up. Wallahi, Imam Arsalan, I receive calls from also on the hotline from India and also from
Allahu Akbar. So
Arab
not just from the
countries,
US,
and
even
most
outside the US.
and wallahi also from mostly from Canada. We have a
Allah.
large number of
Okay.
calls from Canada. I don't know the number, but people tell me that,
Mm,
I'm calling from this and this. Wallahi, from all over, from Europe. From Europe, we receive, but Canada in regular basis, and
alhamdulillah.
mostly from
Very
North
much.
America, but
Okay.
Canada and also the Arab world, alhamdulillah. So this is like
Mm.
something, wallahi, people
So
trust
it's
Amjad.
international then,
Yeah,
international.
wallahi, wallahi,
Now,
alhamdulillah.
Sheikh, we only have 10 minutes left, and I wanted to discuss a couple of current event issues with you. I don't think we have time for more than one. So I wanted to discuss maybe at least two, but let's see how much time we have. Um, what's been in the news and on social media, Muslim social media, for the last 24 hours or 36 hours, the Muslim social media is buzzing with this discussion of the famous Hagia Sophia in Turkey being reverted to a masjid. The decision was announced by the Turkish authorities. The adhan was called yesterday on Friday.
And they will start
After
in
I
July
think
the salah.
80, I think 85 years or something like that.
Yeah.
And next Friday, they have announced that they will start praying Salah in Hagia Sophia. Sheikh, I wanted to ask you your thoughts about this, particularly because you are actually Imam of a Kurdish community. And so, a lot of, you have people from Turkey probably in your community. So I wanted to get your thoughts about how do you feel about the news? What's your opinion? What's your take?
Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam ala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. First of all, I thank Imam Arsalan. Imam Arsalan is the only Imam that, alhamdulillah, the way that he speaks English, alhamdulillah, for me, I understand every word that he says. But some of our Imams, their English is higher than my level. So that's why I suffer a lot with them, I guess. And Imam Arsalan is always is merciful to me whenever we are in a gathering and someone talks, and I don't like to say mumbling. If some people speak this high level of native way, so Imam always translates for me. But Jazakallah khair, I like the word that social media is buzzing, and the word revert. So which is an answer for this? Yes, I know some people they are against this, but believe it or not, as maybe you heard Imam Arsalan, it's in Egypt, in Egypt and some countries they don't like this. But is it the reason for this is
Tell us a little bit
political?
about this. I don't think a lot of our viewers know this. When you say Egypt, what are you talking about?
Yeah. The authorities in Egypt and the people who are responsible for al-Awqaf and al-Azhar, they announced that this is not something acceptable and it's not halal to convert. I'm not going to use the word convert.
So Al-Azhar came out with an
Yes,
official
yeah,
statement.
Abbas Shuman, this is Wakil al-Azhar, a very esteemed,
Inna lillahi wa inna
very
ilayhi.
famous person. So the people who say this, they says it's haram and it's not something permissible. But I think even with these people who are in this high position, the lack of knowledge is there. Because subhanallah, the people who live in America, they know that we see, many of the churches for sale. They are not waqf like us. So, and this is one thing. And the other thing that, as we said, it was a masjid. Yes, then it was a church, and then it was sold. It was not taken by power. It was sold, and it became now a masjid. And now the people, change it to be a museum. And now it's getting back to be a masjid. What is the problem? So the people who are against this, whether they are using this for a political agenda that we are against Turkey in whatever they want, but as Muslims, what controls our judgments are the religious point of views, the religious fact. So is it allowed, even if it's a church, and now you own it, it's in your country, and you own it, and you want to transfer it to a masjid, not to revert it to a masjid. Is it your right or not? It's your right. But to use this political agenda and to know we are against Turkey and they are doing violation for the other region, this is nonsense. This is something shows lack of knowledge and lack of understanding for the deen and the fiqh issue. And this is one point. And the other point is I want to use the right way, those secular people, the secular people who want to keep everything as it is. The museum should stay as a museum. And when, subhanallah, there is like a chance or a possibility to change and you know like some land to be a masjid, they are against this because they want to keep it as a museum. So the secular and the liberal people, they want everything as it is, and anything religious, they feel that, you know, it's a violation to, you know, to build it or to use it, and to just, you know, to add it to the masajid. So those are the two extremes of the people who are, I consider them as, you know, I don't like to say this word, enemies for the deen, but the people who are following their desire, whether the people who are, like, you know, using it for a political agenda, or the secular people who are like not friendly with anything that comes to the masajid. But alhamdulillah,
So,
as a Muslim, as an individual Muslim, I'm happy that a masjid like this, in which continued to be a masjid for a large number of years, is alhamdulillah reverted to be a masjid. So
mhm,
this is, every individual should be happy without looking at the political side or the secular side. وَيَوْمَئِذٍ يَفْرَحُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ بِنَصْرِ اللَّهِ. This is a victory. When there is a spot on earth that in the adhan is heard in it, and people will make sujood to Allah Azza wa Jal, especially this historical place. So where are those people from these churches in Spain that I think many, you know, brothers talked about them, you know, masajid, and by force they were taken, and unfortunately no one could say anything. Where are those, you know, political people or secular people and liberal people, you know, why didn't they talk about this and condemn these masajid that, you know, was taken by force, not was bought, like, you know, this masjid, and became a church.
Sheikh, but why does a religious institution like Al-Azhar then come out with a statement that condemns this move?
Wallahi, Imam Arsalan, this man, he represents the government. He does not represent every individual in Azhar. Me, I'm Azhari, and all the Imams here in the United States, no one of them, you know, blamed the Turkish government for doing this, whether we agree or disagree with that. But we are, you know, we are happy because this is like a victory for the Deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. This
Are
is something
there
brings happiness. But, you know, because, you know, here is the official speakers on behalf of Al Azhar, they represent the government.
they
But
represent the government?
is every imam in Egypt, inside Egypt, I'm on a list of imams in Egypt, they are all happy.
Have you seen statements coming from Azhari shuyukh who
Not till
are
now, no.
supporting?
It's very fresh, Imam Hassan, but, you know, only, you know, on the
No,
media.
let me finish the question. Have you seen any statements in newspapers or in Egyptian news channels from scholars of Egypt, let's say, you know, Azhari shuyukh in Egypt, who are not necessarily in the political positions of, you know, Sheikh al-Azhar and so on, just, you know, general shuyukh, respected shuyukh in Egypt, graduates of al-Azhar? Have you seen any of them coming out and showing support and happiness for the decision?
Unfortunately, no,
Mhm.
and most probably this will not happen. To
This will
go
not
and
happen.
violate
Why is
against, because if you violate one formal speaker who says something, this is not something easy. But on the Facebook and the
What
imams,
about on their own social media pages,
yes,
like on
this
their
is this
Facebook
yeah, this
pages
is
and
what I
so
wanted to say. As I
on?
said, some imams, they are so happy,
Uh-huh.
yeah, as individuals, but,
Mhm.
you know, because the one who represents Al Azhar, he represents Al Azhar, and he represents the government. So
Mhm.
if some, you know, committee of scholars came up and say that we are against this man, this means that they are against the government, so they will
Mhm.
be in trouble.
Right,
So
right.
100% no one is going to do this. But
Mhm.
the imams that I see, and most of them, they said what I just said to you, Imam Arsalan, that, you
Mhm.
know, this is something that makes everyone happy, because originally it was a church and it was sold and it was a masjid for years. And to
Right.
revert it to a masjid, it's a blessing that should make everyone happy. This
you
is
said
brief most of the imams.
I know you emphasized this several times, that this is being reverted to a masjid. But there's
Yes.
something that you said that I just wanted to get more clarification on before we wrap up. You said that even if it was not reverted to the masjid, for a Muslim country to convert a church into a masjid, according to Islamic law, that's permissible?
Here is the point, Imam Arsalan. There are two things: to convert it or to take it by force and convert it. So
Okay.
if you take it by force, this is not from the deen. And this is against, subhanallah, يعني, what came in Quran and Sunnah, and this is against the akhlaq with the Dhimmi people, and this is not from our akhlaq as a Muslim. But when, as it happens here, Imam Arsalan, that most of the masajid are churches, and we buy it. So now can
Are there
nobody has the right?
masajid in Egypt? Are there masajid in Egypt that used to be churches that were converted into masajid?
No, no, because
No.
the matter in Egypt is highly sensitive, Shaykh Arsalan. We
No,
have
I'm talking about
Christians.
at the time of Amr ibn al-As, for example. At that
Uh,
time, were there churches that were in operation? Then after the Muslims came there, they converted them into masjid. Do we have any
Now,
examples of
Amr ibn al-As kept all the churches as they are, kept
as
all
there?
the synagogue, and you know Masr al-Adima, old Cairo. So there, you know, they have the synagogue and they have the churches and they have Masjid Amr ibn al-As as well. But
Mhm,
and they have al-Kinisa al-Mu'allaqa, the hanging
mhm,
church. The
mhm,
hanging church is one
mhm.
of the oldest churches, and it's unique in its design because it was built on two huge columns that the Romans used to, as to
But
use
we
them
have
in a
in
huge wall.
Syria, we have Al-Jami' al-Umawi, for example, that used to be a church.
Yeah, I
It was
heard. Yeah, I
converted
read
into
this.
a
Yeah,
masjid because the church was abandoned, and the Christians decided to move to a different part of Damascus, and they sold their church to the Muslims, and they acquired a different property in the new area where they were moving to. So the Muslims, they converted that church into a masjid. So I guess that's what you were trying to say,
no, no.
that
In Egypt, Imam Arsan, as far as
right,
I know, we don't have this because the
right,
Christians, they have their own churches,
right.
and through the year, all the presidents, they used to like constitute and issue constitutions that keep their properties without being touched. So that's why they have deer. We call it deer. Deer means a big church in in uh, in uh, in in, uh, in Sinai. Imam Arsalan Deir Natron. It's it's in its size. Imam Arsalan is bigger than the Haram al-Makki.
Okay, no, I just wanted to get clarification from you that when you say that it is permissible in Islamic law to convert a church into a masjid, the stipulation there is not by force. We're not talking
Yes.
about by force, but we're talking about if the Christians, for example, sell their church to the Muslims, and there is no coercion or compulsion, then it is permissible for the Muslim authorities to convert that into a masjid.
100%, and I don't know any scholar said that it's not applicable, or it's haram, or there is even karaha in that.
Mm. But
There is
once
no
again,
karaha in this.
re-emphasizing what you said earlier, that the case in Turkey is actually different altogether, because this is a reversion to a masjid and not a conversion to a masjid, because it was already converted into a masjid by by Muhammad
Muhammad al-Fatih.
Sultan Muhammad al-Fatih, who, according to many historians, he actually paid a price for Hagia Sophia. Personally, he purchased it without any force, without any compulsion. I mean, subhanAllah, think about it. If he wanted to do it by force, he didn't need to pay. He was the conqueror. Why would he pay? He could do anything he wanted to. The fact that he paid shows that he wasn't forcing anybody. And then he purchased it, and then he made it a waqf, and it became waqf lillahi ta'ala and operated as a masjid for
Masjid
hundreds of
for
years.
years.
For centuries, it operated as a masjid. And yes, right across from it was the Blue Mosque. Right across from it was the Masjid of Sultan Ahmed, and both masjids continue to function. Just like in Egypt, you have Jami' al-Rifa'i and you have Jami' Sultan Hassan, just a few feet in between. And this is common in the Muslim world, that masajid were just a few feet apart and they continue to operate as masajid until, earlier in the 20th century, the Masjid Hagia Sophia was converted into a museum by Ataturk, and the current decision is to revert it back to a masjid. So Jazakallah khairan, Sheikh, for your insight in
it's
this
a
matter.
pleasure to be with you, Imam Arsalan. It's the pleasure for me. Jazakallahu khairan, and forgive me, and I wish all the audience forgive me, and all the viewers forgive me for my rusty English, but Allah knows that I love you all for the sake of Allah. We love Imam Arsalan. He's the Umda and the mayor of our Mashayikh in Kulin County. He has all the respect, and when he chose me, alhamdulillah, he filled my heart with happiness. Jazakallah khairan for this wonderful time that you gave to me. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept from all of us, Ya Rabbil
Ameen, ameen, Ya Rabbil Alameen. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, we're going to wrap up now. And next week, we'll be back with another scholar from the DFW area. Inshallah ta'ala, I already have a confirmation, but I'm going to keep it a surprise until next week, inshallah ta'ala. So we'll see you then. Once again, our thanks and gratitude to our dear Shaykh Imam Jubilee. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless him and his family. May Allah bless his time, his efforts, and accept all the beautiful work that he's doing for our community here and for everyone in the world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increase him in everything that is khair and protect him from everything that is shar. Jazakum Allahu khairan. Jazakum Allahu khairan for attending. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Wa sallallahu wa sallim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.